Time. Okay. Arrow season 4. Um all right. In all these videos I've done, I've always talked about the plot first, like the main plot of the season. Arrow season 4 was really simple. Basically, ever since Oliver and Felicity have left to go be with each other, as an actual couple, um, the town has been terrorized by a group that I should say by an organization that the group is called the Ghosts. As we later, they're called the Hive, as we find out later. But yeah, basically, Oliver and Felicity come back to the team at the end of the summer, and the whole goal of season 4 is stop the Ghosts, take down their leader, Damien Dark. Now, that may be a simple plot, which is really nice because you can expand upon the plot. Okay, that's really good, and they do expand upon the plot. Um, look at a convoluted plot like season two's plot, where at first it's a very general plot. It's a very useful plot where the first half is pretty much about fixing the city without killing. And then the second half, you find out that they're starting to develop more and more of this Slade Wilson Deathstroke plot. Now, season 4, they don't really go too detailed with the plot. It's really superficial all the way through it. And the reason why I think it is because now they're trying to focus on this relationship. They're trying to tend to the Olicity fans of Oliver and Felicity. In case you don't know what that is, you do know. Pretty much everyone knows what Olicity is on the show. Um, Pretty much, they're focusing on the relationship aspect of the show, and I think the show really gets hit hard for this part of for this aspect of the show. This whole I'm going to focus like heavily, primarily on the relationships because the plot is superficial all the way through. Arrow season 4 is the first season of, at this point it's 5 seasons of television, including the 2 seasons of the Flash. Well, actually 6 if you count the Flash season 2. Basically, it's the first season of TV from both shows that included a season-long villain. Now, obviously, we have the big bads of the season, which is fine. But Damien Dark, he was the villain in the very first episode of season 4 of Arrow, and he pretty much was the main villain all the way until the end. And they stopped him sometimes before the finale, but then he got stronger before the finale, and then finally he was the main bad for the finale. There were like a couple freaks of the week, whatever the episodic villains in season 4. Not that many though. And all that being said, um, there's a lot of potential for having Damien Dark as the main villain for an entire season of a show. But then they wrote themselves into a corner with Damien Dark, and then after a while, I think he started losing potential as like a really good personal villain for Oliver. He was still a good villain, but he was almost overpowered as a villain to the point where for the life of them, the team couldn't find out how to take down Damien Dark fair and square, and they couldn't do it. And so I think the writers wrote themselves into a corner. And also they focused. I think I was going with that. I think what I was doing was talking about the relationship part of it. If you're gonna focus on one villain throughout the season and he's a good villain, and there's really without cheating, then you should have a villain that's going to give you problems all the way into the finale. And Damien Dark did, but there's filler, a lot of filler in season 4. And filler, I know I've talked about filler before in my TV show reviews. Filler is not the worst thing in the world, okay? But when you consider that this filler is always Olicity, it's always Oliver and Felicity, then after a while, that just gets old. That gets old after a while, especially when the filler is in a really good episode. Because Olicity is now it's the main focus of the show by season 4. Even in the finale, they tease that the couple is going to get back together, or they're at least going to, at least those two, even while everyone else breaks up, the whole team it just falls apart at the end of season 4. Those two are still together. Even, that's, yeah, I guess where I was going with that was just Olicity. After a while, that was the main protagonist and antagonist of the show, season 4, because Damien Dark was a really good villain. Damien Dark was an astounding villain. He was really good, because he gave the team a run for its money. And at a certain point, you're almost like, dude, there's no way that they're going to be able to keep Damien Dark alive like they plan on and send him into prison, because they did that already. And obviously they had to explore gray shades of morality, and they killed him in the end. But the real problem with season 4, at least I think I'm speaking on behalf of the fan base that didn't like Arrow season 4. The real problem with it was when the plot of one episode alone is revolved around the relationship instead of the Green Arrow. Even Oliver Queen, not so much just the Green Arrow, but the Oliver Queen character. When the antagonist of the show is whether or not Olicity is going to stay together, you have a problem on a show that's called Arrow. You have a problem. I think you see where I'm going with this, and I think the point has been made without me sounding too much like I'm ranting. There was just to kind of like seal the deal of why I think season 4 is a problem for the show Arrow. I remember this so clearly. I think this easily. I think everyone would agree with me, with no hesitation, that season 4 episode 16 was the worst episode of Arrow, period. Because I remember thinking that was the episode after Felicity divorces Oliver, after they're married, they're engaged, and that's episode 415 was when they actually divorced at the very end of it. That was the cliffhanger. 416 they're divorced, and obviously Felicity is still part of the team because she's needed there. But I remember thinking to myself, Felicity is acting like a total bitch. Felicity was acting like such a bitch during the episode, and I couldn't stand it because I like Felicity's character, and Emily Bett Ricard is lovely. I've loved her ever since she debuted, all the way until season 3, and mostly through season 4. I liked her character in season 4 because I actually liked Olicity. Olicity was pretty good, okay, but like I said, as a plot device for season 4, that's I draw the line there. They're a good couple, and you can focus on that like once per season, and you can. Small gestures are necessary, or I think are what's recommended to let us know as an audience that they're together. Like don't make the plot device all Olicity for an episode. Do not do that. Okay, just show them like holding hands, have them kiss. Like when they're planning, like how to stop Damien Dark, whatever, just those small things. But anyway, for episode 416 specifically, I hated Felicity's character. I absolutely hated her character, and she was acting like a total bitch. Everyone on the team was like pitying Oliver because Felicity was acting like a bitch towards him, because like he made it like a tough decision about his kid, and just the decision, and then Felicity acting like a bitch. I was like, dude, this episode sucks. I took a break from an episode of Arrow. That obviously was that episode, and that's never happened. I normally never like pause because I watch it online. I never pause an episode of Arrow to go get something to eat. I paused this one. I was like, oh my god, I need a break from this. This is bullshit. I couldn't handle that episode of Arrow. But yeah, that's a big turnoff for me for the show. Okay, that's a really big negative for me. And then I'll talk about something a little bit later about the why I think Arrow season 5 really needs to get his shit together in order to stay alive as a show. Yeah, I guess I'll just keep going like I normally do the show reviews. The characters, Stephen Amell always, even through thick and thin, Stephen Amell is he's always the guy who carries the show. I think without him, the show wouldn't stand a chance. I think he really is the weight of the show. Always, Stephen Amell is amazing. The rest of the characters, I don't really want to go through every single character this time because I have a lot to talk about. Excuse me. Just every character is amazing. Still, all the actors do an amazing job. Emily Bett Rickards with Felicity. She is still awesome at what she does. It's just her character was poorly written for her to perform, and it's not her fault unless she directly had input. In which case, tisk tisk. That's not no. Then just she had a bad character to perform. She was just doing her job. She was just performing the character, and her character was written poorly for a lot of scenes, for a lot of time during season 4. Episode 416, just to name one. Of course, they introduced the rogue element, Andy Diggle, and this is a very, very interesting season for John Diggle. Even at the end, like especially at the end of it, is what I'm trying to say, because John Diggle re-enlists. He re-enlists. I think he was going back into I think he was an army man. I don't think he was a Marine. I think he was an army man. And I think he's re-enlisting, and that's very interesting. I'd like to see where that goes in season 5, especially since he had to kill his own brother in cold blood, and that's a very interesting thing to do, is killing your brother. Obviously, if your brother's a traitor, then what are you gonna do? You know, your brother basically did something so irredeemable that you can't have mercy on him anymore. So you kind of, yeah, okay. Enough said about that. Let's see. So the team now is instead of Roy. I don't think he made he made one appearance in season 4 when he was put up as being a thief for, I think, Felicity's dad. I think it was Roy. I miss Roy. I miss Colton Haynes as Roy Harper as a part of the team. He was a really good element of the show, and I think, interestingly enough, his input on the team, now I think that shows with Thea being on the team. Now, Thea, with Willa Holland, she's not a bad member of the team. Like, I don't hate Thea. I think if I had to choose between her and Roy being on the team, I would instantly choose Roy over Thea. Not because one's better, not because I prefer one character over the other, as far as like personality or emotions or skills go. It's just, I just generally like Roy on the team better. I think his personalities, his relationships with the characters of the team, it's more likable. It's a more likable presence on the show than Thea's relationship with everybody on the team. So, excuse me. Thea, she had a very interesting arc this season. She was now Speedy on the show that was showcased in season 3 finale. She has a bloodlust, and she has to kind of control that. That's kind of her thing this season, is basically controlling the urge to kill ever since she was brought back to life, season 3. That's pretty much like it just runs all season long. It kind of has its good moments. After a while, you kind of forget. You stop paying attention because they kind of ran that plot device. They ran it down just straight into the ground. Yeah, all right, cool. She has a bloodlust still, apparently. I don't know. It's actually really cool though, because in the finale, she threatened to kill Damien Dark's daughter, and that's kind of what makes her go away from the team. That's kind of what drives. That's Thea's perspective of the team driving apart, is that she threatened to kill a little girl just to save the city, which is, whew. Okay. Now, this is my biggest problem. This is my biggest problem with Arrow season 4. Because to me, while Arrow season 4 did a lot of great, amazing, wonderful things for the show, they finally gave him the Green Arrow name. They finally gave him a costume that looks like he's straight from the comic books. They finally add a little bit of light and personality in the first half of the season for him, and they finally just make the Green Arrow and all of his teammates and partners and friends and loved ones. They add more flavor to the show. A lot of amazing things done for season 4 of Arrow, but a lot of just stupid as fuck things done season 4. This for me was my biggest. Forget Elicity. I would take Elicity and all of its sappy, romanticized plot filler, whatever. I would take all of that versus them killing off Laurel Lance. Would take. I want Laurel back. I think the stupidest decision they could have made was killing Laurel Lance. I think that was such a stupid ass mistake that they did, and they said, they've confirmed it. Now, I don't necessarily believe that she's going to stay dead, because there's a comic book rule. I want to say it was Emergency Awesome on YouTube. I'll try and remember to put I'll give him like a shout out, a formal shout out or whatever. But I'm not sure if it was his rule or if it was just like a general rule of the internet where no character is dead until either they're decapitated or like an outside source, like producers and writers, they say that the character is dead. And even with that, obviously they can repeal that if they want to. You know what I mean? They can work around it, especially if it's not the decapitation one, which she wasn't. She was just impaled through the stomach. That is, I think easily the biggest fault of season 4 was killing off Laurel Lance, because I've never said this formally in season 1, 2, or 3 of my videos, but I liked Laurel Lance, and people stopped liking Laurel Lance after pretty much after season 2, because season 3, like the minute Sarah died and the minute she kept that secret from her dad, that's when people were like, dude, Laurel, what are you doing? And it made for interesting television, and yeah, she should have told her dad, but people stopped liking Laurel, especially when she became the Black Canary and she was fucking up, and she was a rookie vigilante. She was a vigilante in training, and people were relentlessly cruel towards her character, especially towards Katie Cassidy. So they stopped liking her character pretty much at the start of season 3. I never had a problem with it. I think she was gonna make a good Black Canary. I think people just they had an attachment to Katie Lotz because she was such a likable canary, a regular canary. She's dead. Laurel's here now. She's a Black Canary, and people don't like her. And so I think that they took that almost too literally, and they planned up this entire season long plot of just finally, yeah, we're gonna listen to the fans. We're gonna kill off Laurel Lance. No, don't listen to them saying I just want Laurel to die. Just no. What are you doing? That's not what you do. You don't just kill off a character just because the fans want it. You make them better. Okay? And besides, Laurel Lance, the Black Canary, do you know who that is? Do you know? Okay, I'm going to kill, let's see here. I'm going to kill, I don't know. Let's see, who's a good example? I'm going to kill like a Mary Jane to Spider-Man. Okay? I didn't use Gwen Stacy because Gwen Stacy was actually killed in the comic books. I don't know if Laurel Lance or whoever Dinah Laurel Lance in the comics has ever been killed in like the mainstream lore of the Green Arrow. For a TV show where actors have contracts and where people have to grow to love these characters, associating them to the actors, you don't just kill off the main love interest for the lead role of the show. That's just something you don't do. Okay, you make her better, and they did. They were making Laurel Lance better, only to kill her off at the end. Oh, why would you? Oh, dear God. Oh my God. Why would you do that? Come on, man. That for me marked the downfall of Arrow. I think that's where I draw the line. That's where I'm like, okay, this show, if they don't get their shit together, this show is going to be fucked. Because the actors are contracted for 7 years. They're supposed to have a full 7 seasons of Arrow. I don't think they're going to make it past 5 if this shit continues. That's just You don't do something like that. That's a stupid ass mistake. Why would you kill one of the biggest characters that actually has so much potential? And obviously, the episode of her death, I think it was for let's see, what was it? 418 or 419, I think it was. Why would you introduce the idea of Laurel always being in love with Oliver this whole time, ever since he's been back? We saw it in season 1. Season 2 was kind of iffy. Season 3, she was incapable of being emotional towards him, at least. And then season 4, maybe we saw it. Who knows? Through like subliminal messages or through like hidden details that she was always in love with him still. But right before her death, right when she's in the hospital, that picture that was in the flashbacks of season 1, the one of Laurel, that one that he keeps looking at when he's on the island, she kept that ever since he got back. She's kept that picture, and she gives it to him, and that's when she's like, "I've always loved you, but you need to be with Felicity," and that whole thing. And I'm like, you see, episode 105. I remember this. It's one of my favorite episodes. It's the one where Oliver faked being caught as the Hood as soon as he got back, because he needed to convince everyone that he wasn't the Hood. They had such good chemistry in that part of the season. Their chemistry was amazing, and I never doubted that. Season 1, their chemistry was just so good, and I admit, at the end of season 2, and as well as all the way through season 3, the Olicity was really good, and it was a really good part of it. Then season 4 happened. Obviously, we all know how I feel about Olicity, and I guess it might be a little rocky if they tried to just force that Laurel Oliver relationship upon us. But even if you take the relationship aside from, even if you put the relationship aspect of Laurel and Oliver aside, you throw that away, there's still so much potential for Laurel Lance, but you can't. She's dead. No. Oh my God. All right. That's why I said this video is going to be ranty. Not the Olicity. It's Laurel's death. I hated this. Stupid mistake. They should not have done that ever. No. I honestly, as much as I love Paul Blackthorne's character, he was the one deserving to die. I think he was the one, or maybe Malcolm Merlin. Everyone thought that it was going to be John Diggle, or I think I can't think of his name. Quentin Lance, Paul Blackthorne's character. I think everyone thought it was going to be Lance, but Laurel. Oh my God, man! I don't know. I'm hoping that there's some magic workaround around her death, and that they'll somehow bring her back. Because if they don't, I think seriously, Arrow's not going to make it past season 5. I just don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. It was just a dumb decision. I don't know who thought that killing Laurel's character, when the community offered advice for making the show better, and people were like, "Yeah, kill Laurel Lance." I don't know who actually thought that was a good idea, because now look at the comments. People. That's why you don't listen to non-professional writers, including me. I guess you don't have to listen to me, but I'm just saying. I think killing Laurel and then keeping going with this Olicity shit, like the bad parts of it, is going to kill the show. Because look at the comments now versus then. People are like, okay, kill Laurel. And now that Laurel's dead, why would you kill Laurel? That's why you don't listen to the fans. That's why you keep making your good show. You don't have to listen to us. It's your show. Just do it right. Make it good. You don't have to listen to us at all. Okay? Obviously, take some, if you're going to take some advice, take it with a grain of salt. Don't kill Laurel. Laurel's a good character to keep. But, alright, I'm beating a dead horse now. I'm hoping somehow they have a magic workaround for keeping Laurel alive. Oh man. Come on, man. Alright, anyway. On the plus side, at least Arrow Season 4, and more so with The Flash Season 2, they were really good setups for Legends of Tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about that when Legends of Tomorrow, when my video comes out for that. But yeah, this is a really good way of doing it. It seemed a little choppy with the Arrow side of it because Damien Dark was such a presence that Oliver probably would have thought, I don't have time to help you out, even though they've made time anyway. But yeah, on the positive side, Arrow had a really good setup on the 2-part crossover with the Flash and Arrow with teaming up for Legends of Tomorrow. It was a really good setup, and that part of it, I like that part of the season. So good job for that part. Yeah, I'm surprised actually. I thought I was gonna have more to say about Arrow season 4. To be honest, I don't. I think I said it before. I just think Arrow season 4 had a lot of great moments. Whatever it tried to do well, it did very well. For example, the Legends of Tomorrow, the whole Green Arrow thing, trying to develop Oliver's character in that way. I guess I could talk about the flashbacks a little bit. The flashbacks, I wasn't a fan of the Hong Kong version of the flashbacks. I don't know if I mentioned that in the season 3 video. The Hong Kong thing just kind of didn't really like it. I like the Castaway, knowing that he pretty much has to fight to survive on the island, and then the Hong Kong thing happened. I wasn't a fan of that. The magic aspect of season 4, it's, it was good setup for the other shows to set up a universe, but I think for season 5, Arrow, or not Arrow, Stephen Amell actually, I think he said season 5 was going back to Arrow's roots, where it was a very grounded in reality show. And I'm really excited for that, because hopefully whoever the villain is, it'll be like in season 2 where it's Deathstroke. Yeah, I think the magic, I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know. I'm just magic. It was okay. It just, I think, as far as the flashbacks go, I guess if you didn't use a similar plot device in the flashbacks, then the show would be kind of choppy, I guess. So basically, if you were to have like this Castaway, excuse me, this Castaway story of Oliver when he's 4 years into this island thing, I guess if you were to do something totally different than what's going on in the present day, then the show would be kind of choppy. I get that part of it, but at the same time, I think the flashbacks for season 4 were just they pretty much just, that was just like a okay, we need him back in the island somehow. And the entire season long of the flashbacks, he's first of all, he has the short hair, and I don't know how he's gonna grow that hair back all that fast. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but we don't get a glimpse of like him being a castaway survivor until the ending moment in the flashbacks of season 4, where they give him his bag, or his crate of like his hood of Yao Fei's hood and the bows and arrows and stuff like that. So that's kind of like them shoehorning the season 1 episode 1 character that we met. That's kind of them shoehorning that character back into the main continuity of the show. So flashbacks I didn't care for too much. I'm hoping season 5 overall is going to, like, they need to do something. They need to pick their shit up for season 5 if the show wants to go for the 7th season that it's going for. They need to do something good. They need to do it right. And I mean, they can't just like, okay, yeah, season 5 was better than season 4. They need to fucking nail it. That's what they have to do. I'm calling it. If they don't nail it on the head, then they're not going to get a 6th season. They might, possibly. Who knows though? I know Arrow lost a lot of fans after the finale of Arrow. Even before the finale, I know it lost a lot of fans. They need to do it right, I think, in order to get season 5 working properly and to get the show back on track. Whether or not Arrow, if they do get it right, season 5, and then they keep that momentum going with season 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however long it goes. I don't know if it'll last as long as like Smallville did, where like after a while it just got convoluted and got crazy. I'm just hoping that for however long it does last, that season 4 was the worst season. I'm hoping that was the case. because in my opinion, Arrow season 4, it gets a 6.5 out of 10 for me. Whatever they did great, or whatever they did good, they did great. Whatever they did bad, they did horrible, in my opinion. Because after that, I'm beating a dead horse. I've said all my thoughts. Elicity, too much Elicity in the show. They can like touch upon the fact that like his kid was like a plot device. His kid was nothing more than a plot device to fuel Elicity's divorce. For more plot, for more interesting plot, quote unquote. Laurel's death thing pissed me off to all hell. But it had its moments to shine. It definitely had its dull moments, and it definitely had its just total garbage moments. So you gotta do something about season 5, man. Other than that, Flash season 2 had a good second season. That's pretty good. We'll talk about that one in the Flash season 2 video. So I'll see you guys there.